Hello and welcome to Growing Up Strong. Each week we bring you awesome information and resources to help you and your family grow up healthy, safe, and strong. Tonight we're talking about early intervention. There are terms you may have heard but not quite understood, so we're here to help you do so. My first guest this evening is Paloma Parata. She is the Director of Prevention Services with HomeSafe here in West Palm. Welcome.
Right. Thank you.
Now we're talking about helping the very youngest members of a family have a really good start, and ironically the program is called Healthy Beginnings. What is the Healthy Beginnings program?
The Healthy Beginnings program at HomeSafe, we have what is called the entry agency. We are kind of the entry point for families with children 0 to 5. So we kind of screen and assess the families, the babies, and then we refer them into services into the Healthy Beginnings program so they can actually grow up healthy and get all the services that they need.
Now, when we're talking about Healthy Beginnings, I know it's a vast array of programs and services under the Children's Services Council umbrella. Right. You're starting at the very beginning, and when we say beginning, we mean a newborn, literally,
right.
A few hours old?
Right. We do. We actually do complete screenings with moms in the hospitals. It's called the infant risk screen. In the hospital, we ask them risk questions for risk factors, and it's with every mom that delivered the day of or the day before in the 9 maternity hospitals in Palm Beach County.
So when you're asking these, or you're not, but I know your screeners are, these risk questions, can you give us an example? So people at home are probably thinking, what's a risk question?
Right, absolutely. We ask moms if they are married or not, so that we know how much social support they actually have. We ask questions about if they're applying for health insurance, they need any help with that. We look at, of course, if the baby is sent to the neonatal intensive care unit so that we can make sure that they have all the pediatrician care afterwards. So we ask them questions along the rounds to make sure that they do have social support and then they have all services that they need in place.
Now, when your screeners go in, is there any kind of introduction? Because moms, I know when they just have a baby, first of all, just having a baby, period, with nothing else going on is, shocking and new and exciting. Are they kind of hesitant to answer some of the questions? How do you get through that?
Well, the infant risk screen is actually really attached to the birth certificate.
Okay.
So when we walk into the room, we kind of say this is a screen that has to be completed with the birth certificate. And these are some questions that's going to help us identify if there may be some services in the county that we can help your family with. So they really usually think that it's part of the birth certificate and they're willing to give us the answers. When they're not, they ask for more of an explanation of why we're asking them the questions about risk factors.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Why are you asking them the questions? Like, are these questions very specific and very researched to direct you in the right way for those support services?
Yes. The infant risk screen is really a screen that in the state of Florida they ask, and it is based on research. Some of these questions have demonstrated that the risk factors are present and connected to some of, later on, maybe some child abuse and neglect, some developmental concerns. So it is research-based.
The developmental concerns. So say a baby's 2 days old. You ask certain questions and that can truly give an expert like yourself and your office tips that this may be a baby that needs to be, say, referred to Easter seals or one of the programs out there?
Right. With the babies, the question about social support, it kind of tells us if that mother has a lot of information on developmental or if she does have family members or friends who are going to give them some developmental education. So that gives us the tip that this may be a family that we can be in the home teaching them about developmental stages, developmental activities to be doing with the child before they actually reach that stage.
Wow.
So during that course, we can then later on, the first ages and stages screen actually is at 2 months. But for the first 2 months, we can teach them some developmental stages activities that they can be doing. And then identify if this family might not be using some of the activities if the child has a developmental concern later on.
Now, do you target a certain ethnicity, a certain, group of women and babies, or is it anyone that delivers at these 9 hospitals? Anyone.
Every mom that delivers at the 9 hospitals, we reach for at least 95% screening rate. We get usually every month about 99%.
Wow.
So we screen 99% of the babies delivered in Palm Beach County.
Can you share, I don't know if it's privileged, but can you share any information about how that's helped you direct a certain number in the right to the right services, as we said, or to the right programs, or how helpful it's been to those families once you find something that checks as a concern?
What we say to the moms is there are services in place. It doesn't mean that you have to take the services, but it's going to give you all of the options of looking at some of the developmental concerns ahead of time, so that if anything comes out, then we can immediately screen, assess the child, and get the services so that they can actually catch up to the developmental level that they should be into it.
And I know our next guest in a minute are going to talk more about this, but catching up is really the key phrase you use there, because all the research shows early intervention, as we said, can not only help the family, the child, but the community in general, because cost savings, right?
Absolutely.
Is that kind of where all this comes from as well?
Absolutely. In the hospitals, even if a mom does not have risk factors, we always say to them, one of the ways that you can help the community is by completing this, because then we can actually target it more as zip codes at certain hospitals and see where we should be putting the services into it. So even a mom that does not have risk factors, we ask them to complete the screening so that we can actually have the data to look at and make sure that we are serving the right population.
Now, I know this is done at hospitals, you mentioned. Are there other places that you do the universal screenings?
Right, we do. We actually receive referrals from child care centers, so we do complete screenings in the child care centers. We do have outreach agencies and workers out in the community. They go to events, they go to different scenarios like libraries, and they do screen children in different places.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it's not just newborn. I know you said ages to stages. Talk about that a little bit.
It is from 0 to 5, so it starts at 2 months all the way to 5 years old. We can complete the screen. It goes in like 5 domains, like gross motor, fine motor, language, cognitive. So we're screening them for all of this.
All along, pardon me, all along the time.
Right.
Okay.
Any time a parent actually in Palm Beach County has a concern, they can also contact us.
Oh,
and
really?
We go out and
so
complete
any
the screen.
parent?
Any parent can
Oh,
actually
that's good
call.
to know.
If they have any concern for developmental delay or for social emotional behavioral issues, they can contact us and we can go out and screen the child.
And once you screen, let's start from where we started, the hospital.
Yes.
What kind of follow-up is there? You said it's up to the mom, obviously, if she wants to do the program.
Right.
But you all kind of check, and then if she does sign up for a program, is there follow-up all along that 0 to 5?
Yeah, we have what we call warm handoff. So we're the
warm handoff.
Yeah, the
okay.
warm handoff.
I like that name.
Yes. The entry agency has to do a warm handoff to the service that we've determined that the family needs to receive. So once we've actually referred and the service has accepted, we make sure that the whole service is actually started.
Okay.
And then
but at that point, that program director, that organization is in charge of the child.
Right.
Okay.
And they have certain programs where they have completion of different assessments, and they put in plays, and I think David is going to talk a little bit later
exactly,
about.
Exactly. So in your opinion, Director of Prevention Services, are you preventing things? Are you having, I know you're not really, a tracker, as you said, but it's just your personal opinion of watching this program grow and watching it work. What is your personal opinion about that?
We are preventing. One, by educating people on the importance of paying attention to developmental stages and making sure that the children in Palm Beach County are developing right. We are assessing the children for the services that they need. So we do get them the services, and then they actually catch up to the developmental level.
You've seen them catch up.
Yes. So I do believe that we are preventing and that we are helping a lot of the families in Palm Beach County.
And one of the things I just want to reiterate before we take a break is any family, because sometimes I think all of us stereotype that services like this are only for a certain population, a certain ethnicity, a certain zip code, as you said.
Right.
So you're telling me I'm a mom or grandparent, I got lots of grandparents out there watching, and they say, oh, my 2-month, I'm not sure my 2-month-old grandson had this. They can ring the number we're going to put on the screen.
Absolutely.
And they can say, I saw this lady, Paloma,
yes,
and I'd like my grandchild
to be screened. Absolutely.
Really?
Yes, and it could be a neighbor. They could hear from a neighbor and say, call this number. We can screen and assess any child from 0 to 5 in Palm Beach County.
So by 5, you have seen success.
Yes.
That is such good news. Thank you, Paloma, for sharing good news. Thank you for joining us. I just love good news, don't you? And you can take part in those screenings, as Paloma so eloquently said. Just call the number on your screen if you think your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, perhaps your neighbor needs some screening. It is yours for the taking. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to get more details on the Healthy Beginnings program, so stay with us.
When Mommy was pregnant with my baby brother, she cried a lot. It's not that she didn't love us. I know she loves us. She just needed help.
And she got it.
That's why Children's Services Council invests in programs that help women when they're pregnant and after their baby is born, because children who are born healthy are more likely to do better in school and in life.
So kids like me grow up healthy, safe, and strong.
We continue our discussion now on early intervention with two more guests who have some really great information. Stay there because you're going to want to see this. Welcome, David Tkac. He is the Director of Healthy Steps for Young Children. And Dr. Shannon Fox, who's a pediatrician whose office is directly related to everything we've been talking about. So David, to kind of set it up, Paloma in the first segment talked about the screenings. You're kind of the next step. You're really involved with screenings in the pediatrician's offices.
That's correct. I'm the director of the Healthy Steps for Young Children program. And what we've done through the Healthy Steps for Young Children program is bring a developmental specialist right into the pediatrician's office. Okay, they are there during the well baby visits. We follow the children for the first 3 years of life.
Wow.
And we do developmental screens. We are there for the families when the doctors take care of the well baby screens, information and things that they need to do. We are there to help support the families, to give them guidance with regard to developmental issues, to answer their questions, and to really be a good support for them.
And this is something, when I say new, brand new, just started October 1st, I believe you said.
Brand new
and you're
program.
in how many right now?
We're currently in 3 pediatricians' offices throughout Palm Beach County.
All around Palm Beach County. So Dr. Fox, why do you think something like this is important to have in your office every day when you're doing checkups and things?
Well, it's a great help to us actually to make sure that we're not missing anybody who may need further attention for their development. It's hard to squeeze everything into a 15-minute exam, that we have that time to do all of our healthy checkups from 0 to 3. These are the kids that could easily fall through the cracks with the very basic questions that we may be asking at the separate checkup visits. So this is really doing a better job making sure that we're not missing any developmental issues, that the sooner they're picked up, the better long-term the child has a chance to develop normally. And overall, this is the concept of bringing everything into our office for the best coordination of care. Our idea is to try to do as much as we can as the primary care provider, pediatrician for the children, to make sure that they're getting the best medical care and that we're coordinating this through our own office, and it not being as difficult for parents to have that access to these very important services that are in our community.
And I know that the term medical home is used a lot. It's a very kind of trendy term in the health field. That's kind of generically what you're talking about. So a parent, especially a parent of a 0 to 5-year-old, is usually very busy and running around from this specialist to that specialist. At least you get a start there to say, hey, we saw a warning sign, or this isn't quite what it should be. You know, let's watch this. Is that how it works?
Exactly. We see the child for the checkup, and during the checkup we would be going through, again, some very basic points of milestones for their development. If we're concerned, we have the Healthy Steps people in our office to help us. And even if we're not concerned, again, they may find things that we wouldn't necessarily have noticed, because the parents sometimes don't know what is normal. So it's hard if you don't ask the right questions. You may not really get the answer that's important for you to know. So this is, again, a complementary service that we have, that we're taking care of the child as far as we can for development, but then we have Healthy Steps to fall back on if there's something that maybe we're missing, again, to plug the child into the system as soon as we can to have the best overall outcome for the child.
So David, Dr. Fox laid it out, but bring us a little more detail. I know it's not just in the pediatrician's office that you provide these programs and screenings, but talk a little bit, take us through the curriculum for the whole program.
The Healthy Steps for Young Children program is comprehensive. We begin with the well child visits in the doctor's office, and we also provide home visits. We go to the home. You know, the home affords a more intimate time for the families. They're not busy. We're able to see the family when they're talking, with the other children present. We get to see their home and support them in a way that we can't do when we're in the doctor's office, because we have to, move things along, so to speak. We also do developmental screenings. We begin with temperament scales, we do the ages and stages, we do a family history, which helps us to access any kind of issues or concerns a family may have. We do an MChat, which is an autism screening. We also do a language screening. So for the first 3 years, we are there to provide those kind of services.
And when you say a temperament screening, I know when you first told me about that, I would like a temperament screening myself, but kind of generically explain to our viewers, what is a temperament screening when you have a little baby? Most temperaments are happy or sad to me.
Well, we all have temperaments. Things like our activity level, our distractibility, our general mood, how we interact with the world. We all know folks who can't stand tags in the back of their clothes, or people who like to go on roller coasters and those who don't. This is all part of who we are. Some of us are able to adapt to the world very easily, and some need time to warm up. So when a parent understands that, they can in turn know how they need to adjust their parenting to help optimize their child and help support them through that so that they can be successful.
And I know whether it be the temperament screening or the language screenings, when you're in the pediatrician's office with this new program that Dr. Fox is talking about, you're now going to track these children. It just started, so for the next 3 years, is that right? Is that what Children's Services Council is looking for?
That's correct. That's correct. We have found through early intervention the importance of really being able to understand what's happening with children and helping to support them. And it's open to all families. It doesn't matter economic in any issues. It's open to everyone. And we will follow them for 3 years and support them. And if they need referrals, we refer them to Home Safe or whatever kind of resources. And something that's really important about our referral is not only we just get someone a phone number, we will call, we will help support them. Sometimes some folks, it can be kind of scary calling a new organization or calling a new agency. I don't know what I'm going to say. Are they going to blame me for the fact that my child has a delay? No, we're here to help support them and help them to be able to enroll in these programs so we can help the children get the support they may need.
So you almost have a friend, so to speak, at your organization that helps these new parents or grandparents or whomever it is walk through the system, because I can tell you the system can be scary. You all work in it, so you're probably a little more used to it, but having been on the outside, it can be a little intimidating. And you're saying that's erased by this kind of support service that comes in.
The Healthy Steps for Young Children developmental specialists will help support them. They'll make phone calls. We have relationships with the different organizations that we may refer to, and we're there to support them through it. And the healing relationship is so important. Really having someone there to say, we're here for you, we're going to help answer your questions, it's going to be okay. If you're afraid, we'll sit with you, we'll call with you, make the appointment, and we'll be there to help them.
Let me tell you, any parent or grandparent, aunt or uncle that's watching right there, that's a reason to take advantage, because it is kind of healing and calming when you're a new parent to have somebody that knows these things. And Dr. Fox, I would imagine you read reams of information as a pediatrician every day. There's lots of research that backs this up. Talk a little bit about early intervention and how it helps 5, 6, even 18 years down the road.
The biggest problem, or the biggest way it probably helps, is that when the children are this young, babies, infants, brand new brains, their brains are very moldable still at that point. So, just like it's hard for us to learn a new language at this age, but when the kids are a year old, 2 years old, it's amazing how they can learn 2 different languages and be able to speak both languages forever. So it's that same kind of concept, that the earlier you start with a developmental delay, the better chance that your child will be as close to normal as possible one day as they get older. The biggest research that has come from that is really the autism research. The earlier we pick up the autistic children, the better chance they have of being more mainstreamed as they go into elementary school, middle school, high school, and successful adults one day, basically. And so as a practice, we've been screening for that at 18 months and 2 years for quite some time now because of that research. So it's very important, to be able to notice these problems as soon as you can at these early ages, when again that brain is, like clay.
I know we did a show last week on that, or last month I should say, and I was absolutely amazed by how much brain development, even from 0 to 2 years old, is done, and how these supports and just knowing what to do, just that knowledge, as you said, David. But beyond that, My kids are grown. I was telling you, I wish I knew all this, but beyond that, I'm so thrilled to hear about this because the long run, it also saves the community. Tax dollars, services, because you were explaining and you sent some great research that when this child is followed and led to the right programs, chances are they may not end up behind in school, truant, God forbid, in the jail system. And there's real research you were sharing that backs that up.
Definitely. I mean, the cost over time is significantly reduced of taking care of one of these children through their lifetime, basically, if you can identify the problem at an early age. And so it really saves taxpayers even, from their pocketbooks in the future.
I think there was one study that said for every dollar invested in programs like you're talking about, exactly actually, because it described it, it's an $8 return on investment as far as services for troubled youth, basically. So David, you're excited because there will be this tracking, but you've been in this field a long time. Tell me why you think it's really working.
Well, the science proves it. Okay, the science proves that it does work. And when you are able to work with a child that has a developmental issue and you see them making progress and you see them over the years, I've seen children that I was working with when they were infants and they're 17, 18 years old now.
That's great.
And they're doing marvelous.
That's
it
great.
It makes a difference, and it makes a difference in the lives of the families. And it really helps them to be able to navigate life.
And everyone should want to do that. Are you, as a practice, excited? When I first heard about this, I thought, are the doctors going to be a little like, we really need this extra person, this extra work, because you're already, as we know, way overtaxed when it comes to seeing patients. Tell me why you guys decided to do this.
Well, I have to say we're very excited. We have 3 offices and only one has this service, and the rest of the 2 officers are very upset and jealous that we also can't have the same. So it complements what we do. So anything that is providing better medical care, which is what we believe in, we are happy to accept. And there was some concern about whether it would take more time to get the patients navigated through the office for their checkups. And so far, so good. Again, brand new program, so the kinks have been, really yet to be worked out, but I'm sure they will be. And again, hopefully we'll identify children earlier now and be able to have easy access to the system versus, without having them in our office, it is probably more difficult for parents to navigate the system themselves when we refer them to early steps. So this is, again, we're jealous. The other 2 offices, we wish that we could have them in all 3 because it's going to only, add that benefit for our patients, which is the most important thing. And for you all,
like you said, you're not searching the internet for the information. The provider is right there saying, I got this. And David, we should mention it is in pediatrician's office, but I want to reiterate what Paloma said. There's hospital screenings. You said there's other avenues for people to get this information, and not just the universal screenings, but as you said, the temperament screening, the language screening. You have information, I know, at ARC that we can share, right?
Absolutely.
And we'll put that on the screen.
Absolutely.
And so no matter what, these services are available.
That's correct. They're open to any individuals that come to the pediatrician's offices, and they can call me. I'll be happy to give them information also.
Okay. Thank you both for joining us. Great, great information. Thank you. Here's those numbers that we've been giving to you tonight to get you the help that you or your child might need. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next time for Growing Up Strong.
Children's Services Council, created by Palm Beach County voters in 1986, provides leadership, funding, and research on behalf of the county's children so they grow up healthy, safe, and strong. The council focuses on 4 main goals. Children are born healthy, are safe from abuse and neglect, are ready to learn when they enter kindergarten, and have access to quality after-school and summer programming. Why are these issues so important? because when children are given the fundamental tools for success early in life, they are much more likely to reach developmental milestones, graduate from high school, and to become productive members of society.